So if you haven't taken the ghost tour in Gatlinburg, I would highly recommend it. With that being said, it's the perfect lead-in to our story tonight.
Yeah.
So Tracy, Tennessee is without a doubt one of the most haunted states in all of the South. Gatlinburg has done its part to actually hold up the reputation by having its fair share of hauntings as well. So we're going to share some hauntings today that all stem from the same story.
Okay.
But we're going to get, I think, 5 different haunted stories.
Oh, cool, man. There's a
Now,
lot of things going on in Gatlinburg.
There is.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say that when it comes to the paranormal, there are more non-believers and skeptics than there are believers.
That's what I hear.
Benjamin fit into this skeptic category. It wasn't until he took a job as a tour guide for a ghost tour company there in Gatlinburg. Benjamin had his entire view of the world, as well as to the laws of logic and life and death, pretty much get turned completely upside down by his experiences while being a guide of these ghost tours.
Ooh, how exciting. I cannot wait to hear this.
Benjamin moved from Washington State to Tennessee when he was about 15 years old. Now, Benjamin was raised Protestant, and he didn't consider himself to be a believer in anything that wasn't observable and explainable. For him, it was all about logic and scientifically proven facts. When Benjamin graduated high school, he didn't believe in ghosts, demons, or anything supernatural. Not even Dean and Sam Winchester.
Oh, what?
Hold your gasp, because I knew you were going to be upset about that.
Oh my gosh, I love me some Dean. I love me some Dean.
I like some Jimmy Dean.
I do too, actually. Is he still alive?
I think he just recently died, like within the last couple of years.
Oh, okay. Now I'm hungry. For some sausage.
Like most high school graduates, Benjamin wanted his own money and he needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
He actually wanted to get a job as a graphic designer, and he was going to save money for college, but that gig fell through. What he did find, though, was a job that paid well, and he only had to work 2 hours a night.
Dang.
Most nights he made about $60 a night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a high school kid working 2 hours,
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
that's pretty good. But he would soon realize that money would not be the most beneficial part of this job. You see, this is where Benjamin's struggle with the paranormal begins. At first, the job, giving ghost tours, didn't seem like a great fit for someone as skeptical as Benjamin.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, why would he do that if he was I mean, I guess you just take what you get. But...
I mean, if you're an actor, theoretically,
well, yeah,
you act a whole bunch of different parts that aren't things
that's
you believe.
true.
So it's just a matter of being an actor.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like it'd be kind of tricky to pull off, though. I mean, could you imagine that you're over here and you're like, and right here is the site of the white lady, and then someone asked, who was she? And then you're like, who cares? You don't really believe in that crap, do you? Probably not the best way to get tips.
I was going to say, no way to get a tip.
But for $60 for 2 hours, no physical work was involved. Benjamin was all in. There were some other perks besides the money. He got to meet a bunch of new people from all over the world, and he got to learn about the city's history, even more than he ever knew. He earned plenty of tips, and overall he had a good time leading the tours. So the stories were quite interesting, considering that a big chunk of them might have had a little bit of a made-up plot. And that's that way with most ghost tours,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
of course it is.
Other stories were heavily embellished, but a good portion of them were all true, or at least allegedly true. But like I said, Benjamin did not believe in the paranormal, nor did he want to. It was quite the internal conflict, I guess we'll say. So he didn't want to believe, but he also didn't want to leave this job. He really liked this job.
Yeah.
So he decided he was just going to do whatever it took to hang with it. And if it meant going away from his belief system, so be it. But over the next several months, Benjamin would see things that would make him question his belief system. In the space of 2 years, Benjamin's life changed in an unimaginable way. He experienced all kinds of odd, unsettling, alarming, and truly terrifying experiences. He went from skeptical to doubting his own conviction, and eventually he was convinced that there was things out there in life that he just could not explain. All right, so let's cover some of these occurrences.
All right.
At the beginning of these tours, Benjamin would hand out EMF meters to every person that was in the tour group. You've all seen these things on the ghost hunter shows, and they're meant to detect an electromagnetic field. Well, some people think these are just cheap toys, but others find them very useful tools to detect an actual ghost. Benjamin was kind of leaning towards the opinion of them being toys. He saw them as something that added entertainment to the tour, though, so he was all for it. At least that's how I looked at it until this one particular night. The tour had went smoothly up to the very end. So they end the tour, as usual, in an eerie cemetery. So it stops the same place every night.
Oh, heck yeah.
And we've taken that tour.
That we have.
They're in the cemetery, and Benjamin's given his closing remarks to the group when one of the men experienced a problem with his EMF meter. So the man claims that the EMF detector would shut down completely as he walked past one particular gravesite. It would turn back on as soon as he moved past it, a step or two either way. Now, this shouldn't be happening. If you know anything about EMF detectors, there is basically 6 lights on them. It starts off at a green at the bottom, ends up at red at the top, and then there's a bunch of colors in between as it then picks up intensity. So if you get a little bit of action, you get a couple of lights light up, whatever. And if you're getting nothing, there's no lights on it, but it's not turned. It doesn't turn itself off.
Right.
And that's what it was doing here. So the concept was just strange. So Benjamin goes over and he sees that the man was absolutely correct. It turned off while standing at that one particular headstone and back on anytime they got away from it.
Now, was he making the same guy do that, or did he do that as well?
They both had the same issue.
Okay, so he went in front of it. Okay, gotcha.
Right. So now they're like, well, this is strange. And the group has now noticed what's happening, and now they're all over there at that grave watching this little experiment take place over and over and over again, always with the same results. So now they're trying to read the name on the headstone. The headstone was very old and weathered, so it was very hard to read. The tension was growing, and the air was turning colder. They even seemed to think that it was getting darker somehow.
Well, they're about to get their money's worth, aren't they?
Yes, they're definitely getting their money's worth. Now, like I said, it was a really old grave, and the letters were almost entirely gone. They eventually managed to read the first name, Thomas. They said it over and over, but they couldn't make out anything of the last name. Like I said, it was pretty weathered, and the letters were pretty much gone. But then someone yelled, Wiley. A man yelled it so loud that everybody in the group turned around to see who had managed to read these barely legible letters and make a name of it. But there was absolutely no one else behind them.
Oh boy.
The voice did not come from the group. The voice did not come from an explainable source, but everyone heard it, and now everyone in the group felt that it came from the grave of Thomas Wiley himself.
Yikes.
Now, Benjamin was confused about obviously what had happened, but he was still highly skeptical. This voice could have came from, anybody.
I know, but it just seems, I don't understand how he could be, what is that word?
Skeptical?
Yeah. Especially when not only that, but then the light or the EMF meter going off and on like it was.
Right. Yeah, so you actually had two different things associated with that grave. He says that he was still skeptical about the whole thing. But what he did start doing was leaving flowers on the grave of Thomas Wiley. Benjamin acknowledged that it was harder and harder to ignore things that were happening on the tour on a regular basis. But these instances would become even more unnerving and even harder to ignore, like the next experience.
Okay. I mean, did he, like when he started his tours from then on, did he mention those happenings, I wonder?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So Benjamin was accustomed to getting tips at the end of the night if he had done a good job.
Mm-hmm. Which he should.
He would usually shake hands with most of the guests at the end of the night, and this is when they would usually give him his tips. Most of the older men tended to shake your hand and then discreetly hand you your tip in the handshake. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, of course.
They've got their bill
Like
in their hand,
passing
they
the money
shake your
out.
hand, they just pass it as they shake your hand. One of these handshakes would stand out way more than the others. So on this particular tour, there was a family. It was a married couple and their little girl, and the little girl's grandfather. The grandpa seemed okay, but his questions really stood out. This, in fact, made Benjamin very uncomfortable. So most people ask him about, hey, what did this ghost look like? Or what did they do? But Grandpa here, he was a little more interested in the type of, like, for example, what type of knife was used in the stabbing? Or the shape of the bullet wounds on somebody who had been shot? Or the type of blood splatter that there was on the wall?
Gosh.
He even asked about the weight of the limbs that were torn from a body. I couldn't even imagine that. Saying, how much did that arm weigh?
Yeah, and I'm sure this guy did not have the answers to any of that.
So he was more fascinated about, the gory parts of Benjamin's stories. So the tour ends, and Benjamin was more than happy to shake this man's hand and get his tip and let that guy just move on to whatever else he was going to do that night. But when his skin made contact with this man's hand, Benjamin said that it was not like shaking the hand with a regular old man with circulation problems or something. Nope, he was deadly cold. Right out of the freezer, straight from the morgue cold. Benjamin got a chill that ran straight down his spine, and he quickly pulled his hand back. That's when he realized that he wasn't holding regular dollar bills. In fact, his hand was full of silver coins.
He's like, score!
Benjamin quickly turned around to face the old man, and he was nowhere to be seen. Benjamin was dumbfounded, and he thought, there's no way this could be real. The cemetery where the tour ends is on a hill, and it's only about 300 yards, and there's no way anybody could run fast enough to get out of sight as quick as this man did.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin was shaken by the event. He went back to the group to speak to the family that the old man was with. But that family says that he wasn't part of their group. He was already there when they arrived. In fact, he greeted their little girl by her real name and not her nickname.
What?
Even though they had never met him, he knew what that little girl's name was.
Ah.
So the family left almost immediately after this conversation, almost like they didn't want to hear the rest of what Benjamin had to say. Like, this is already freaky enough. We don't need more. Benjamin said that he thought the old man looked just like the woman's father. So that's who he assumed that she was. So is it possible that this could have been the spirit of maybe one of their ancestors, and that's how he knew the little girl's name, and that's why he looked like her?
Right. I mean, sure sounds like it.
The coins that Benjamin got from the old man, by the way, well, they were hundreds of years old and were not legal currency for the time.
Oh, man, so he couldn't even use them.
I would think if they're actual silver, you can go get money for them, but it wasn't
Right.
something that anybody was currently using
Mm-hmm.
as their currency.